Hello, Namaste. Welcome back to the course on Geographical Information System. As I spoke in the previous class, we have now covered about an introduction to GIS. I have spoke about different data models. We looked at what is a vector data model. We looked at what is a raster data model. Then a few applications of vector and rasters and how do we capture data. We also looked at data acquisition and also looked at how different data models can be stored. So with this, now the next thing that we have to start looking at parallelly is how do we use software. Software is just a platform which gives you a lot of tools, and there is a science behind these tools to work on this. So now as I said, we would rather use open source freely available software, open source software. So this particular class is actually would be handled by one of my research scholar and TA for this course. I have introduced you to him, his Prakash PS. So he would be looking at introducing you to the software that is Quantum GIS. He would give you some history of Quantum GIS, and more importantly dealing with some of the tools that are already available in Quantum GIS. It is one of those software which can be used in alongside with any of the program coding languages and together coded together, so that you can use the tools from the QGIS also in those program coding languages in order to improve whatever the programming analysis that you are trying to do or development of a model that you are trying to build. So to introduce you to QGIS, I would now hand over this session, this particular lecture, to Prakash PS. Okay, so he would carry out in next half an hour. He would give you an introduction of what is QGIS, how do you use a QGIS, and what are the different ways of handling QGIS. In this particular session, he would also look at installations. How do you install your QGIS? How do you actually access the QGIS on World Wide Web? How do you download it, install it, and also give you some interfaces on functions of QGIS. So I'll now hand it over to him. So let's meet in the next. I would meet you again in the next class with the next set of lectures on what do you mean by a database and different models in a database and how different databases also. So I'll hand it over to him. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the course on Geographic Information System. This is module 6 QGIS and lecture 5 Introduction to QGIS. So the concept covered in this particular session is Introduction to QGIS, a brief history to QGIS, installation of QGIS software and how to download QGIS software from the internet and install different plugins, and we will cover the interface of QGIS and various functionalities of QGIS. Quantum GIS, or famously called as QGIS, is a GIS tool for managing geographical data and to perform various analysis such as 3D analysis, buffer analysis, overlay analysis, geostatistical analysis as well. QGIS is a free and open source software which is freely available to download from the websites and to use for both for commercial and any other purposes, and it is the official project of Open Source Geospatial Foundation, which develops various softwares for geospatial purposes, and it is available as a public license, and it can handle data such as raster data, vector data, or different database formats. For example, it can handle shape files, it can handle GeoJSON or JSON files in terms of vector data, or it can handle raster data such as TIFF, GeoTIFF or IMG formats, and it can handle various database formats such as .csv files or DBF files, etc. And QGIS is translated into 70 different world languages, including Indian languages such as Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu. And the main advantage of QGIS is availability of various plugins. Basically, plugins are extended functionalities for the existing software. So QGIS has multiple existing software. Apart from that, if you want some more functionalities, you could simply search a Google search as a QGIS plugin and the particular functionalities. So if that plugin is available, you can simply go to QGIS and download that particular plugin and start using on it. So how exactly do that, we will see in the upcoming slides. And one more important thing about QGIS is that availability of extensive help and documentation. Since it is an open source software, people around the world use this particular software, and they put up so their positives and negatives about the software. So there is an forum available for QGIS software as well. So there you can just ask a query about your particular problem, and somebody will answer that particular problem. So when it comes to the platforms, QGIS is available for various operating systems, for example Windows, Mac, Unix and Linux. So the majority of users use Windows and Mac version of QGIS. So in this particular session we are going to see Windows version of QGIS. So the QGIS is official project of Open Source Geospatial Foundation, as I mentioned earlier. So OSGeo has multiple projects. If you see, it's a screenshot of its portal. So QGIS falls under desktop application. Similarly, it develops geospatial applications for web mapping or many other libraries as well. So when we see the history of QGIS, it has been founded by Mr. Gary Sherman in the year 2002. He started developing in the year 2002. By July 2002, the first version of QGIS is released, and the current version is QGIS 3.8 Zanzibar. So also QGIS is available as a graphical user interface to a software called GRASS from the version 1.2. GRASS is released much earlier to QGIS, that is basically used for vector data analysis. So QGIS is majorly meant for raster data analysis. The combination of QGIS and GRASS can be used for any kind of geospatial data analysis in an efficient manner. So when we see the GIS timeline, QGIS falls under second half of the timeline. So initially from the year 1960, in the year 1960 the beginning of GIS happened. The famous company ESRI founded in the year 1969. So subsequent to that, from 1980 to 2000, several ESRI products were released, ArcInfo or ArcView, etc. The GRASS, which I mentioned earlier, is released in the year 1985. So we can clearly see the QGIS is released in the year 2002. Subsequent to that, the famous QGIS, Google Maps, Google Earth and OpenStreetMap were released. In terms of usage, QGIS users can be found around the world, but the majority of users are there in American countries and European countries. So the Indian, African and southwestern countries are picking up very fast. So how to install QGIS software? You can go to this particular link to install the QGIS software, or you can simply do a Google search as QGIS download. So you will find qgis.org website. Under that you can go to for users. There you will find the latest version of QGIS 3.8 Zanzibar, where you will find the download now option. So if you click on this download now button, so it will go to a page where it shows shows options for multiple operating systems. For example, if you want for Windows version, you just need to click here on download for Windows version. So after that it shows two versions. One is for 64-bit operating system, one more is for 32-bit systems. So if you are using the 64-bit, click on that, the .exe file will get downloaded to your system. So that one you can directly install in your system. So based on 32-bit or 64-bit, you can install QGIS software for your systems. So once you install QGIS software, you will get a shortcut in your desktop saying that QGIS desktop. So basically QGIS is a desktop software. So if you open that particular software, so it will open up the main window of the QGIS. So this looks something like this. The main interface of QGIS will look something like this. So here at the top you will find menu bar. So it gives multiple functionalities. We are going to see what are the different functionalities of these things in subsequent slides. And second part is just below that you will find different toolbars. Here it gives the option to zoom in, zoom out, or zoom to the extent, or identify features, etc. We will see each and every functions later. And so these toolbars can be completely customizable. You can keep these toolbars here or right side, just wherever you are comfortable with. And third is the panels. So it has a panel for browsing the files from the folder systems, and there is a layer panel. In layer panel you can click switch off or switch on the layers which you want in the map window or in the map view. At the bottom it is called a status bar. In status bar you will be finding the coordinates. So based on latitude or longitude or any other coordinate system, those coordinates will appear based on the mouse movement which you do on the map view, and the particular scale with which you are viewing, that will show up. And EPSG 2964, this is the coordinate reference system which we use for this particular map, will show here. So when we go deep into the menu bar, so it has multiple functions, project, edit, view, like so many functions are there. One by one we will see. Under project, you can open a new project, or you can open a recent project which you already opened, or you can save existing project, you can export the data, or you can create map composing, or you can exit from the QGIS. All these functions are found under project button. So under edit button, if you are editing any maps in the map view, so if any map is available in the map view, so these functions will appear as activated. So you can do undo or cut features, or any kind of editing operations can be done under edit button. So under view, so these pan buttons, or zoom in, zoom out, statistical summary of the layers, or customization of panels, toolbars, etc. can be done using view buttons. So if you want to create a new layer or a shapefile, or add an existing layer which you have downloaded or received from somebody, you can use create new layer to create new shapefiles. You can add existing layer using add layer button, or you can connect existing databases, or here also you can switch on, switch off layer using the layer button. So if you want to do settings such as while you are editing the feature, you might want to do the snapping option on or off, or if you want to customize the tool, or if you want to set the CRS of the maps, these kind of settings can be done using the settings button. And as I mentioned earlier, multiple or various plugins are available online to download QGIS. To use this particular button, you need to have internet connection, and you just need to press on manage and install plugins. So a window will appear to download the plugins. You just have to type the name of the plugin. So if you type that, so the plugin will get installed. Or if you want to customize any tools using Python, so Python console is also available under plugins button. So as I mentioned earlier, QGIS is majorly meant for vector analysis. All those vector functions which are there in QGIS will list under vectors. For example, spatial query, if you want to query a particular thing in a particular map, or if you want to perform geoprocessing analysis, geometrical analysis, or any kind of data management tools, these kind of functions are found under vectors tool. And apart from vectors, raster functionalities are also available in QGIS. If you want to perform raster calculation functions, or if you want to perform georeferencing operations, or any conversions from raster to vector or vector to raster, or if you want to extract contours or extract rasters from the vectors, so these kind of functions are we can see under raster. And database and web, these two are majorly meant for connecting external databases. Suppose if you want to see Google Earth satellite imagery as a base map, you can click on Quick Map Service plugin and you can see. A database is also similarly, if you want to connect a PostGIS or any other database outside from the QGIS, you can do here. So under processing, if you install multiple tools, so those extra tools will be appearing under processing. And if you need any help about the software, or if you want to see the version of the software, or if you want to understand any tool, you can go to help, and this question mark button, you can use it to understand more about the software and its functionalities. So as I mentioned earlier, the tools existing in the QGIS can be completely customizable. You want some tool here or don't want it, so those kind of things you can switch on and switch off using view button. And if you go to toolbar, you can switch off and switch on these layers toolbars. So next is important thing in QGIS, how to create new shapefile in QGIS. So shapefile basically means how to create point, lines or polygons in QGIS. So we will briefly see. So you just need to go to layers and create layer. So there is a button called a new shapefile layer. So if you click on that, a new shapefile layer window will appear. Here you need to say either point, line or polygon. This is the basic data type in GIS as we learned earlier. So if I want to create a polygon, I need to select polygon. If I want to create a line, I need to click a line, or if I want to create a point, I need to click on points. So for example, if I want to create a building polygon or a water body polygon, so I'll select a polygon feature, and then I can choose by here the coordinate reference system. I can choose EPSG 4326 WGS 84 as my coordinate system, or many other options are available if you click here. And then you can add multiple new fields here. So if you want to add a text field, or if you want to add a numeric field or floating point field, you just give its name and the type of the fields, and then press OK. So a feature will be created, or a layer will be created at the left side in the layer panel. So here you can keep on adding multiple features, polygons, if you selected polygon as a feature. So how to do that? You just have to select this particular layer and go to the pencil button. So here this start editing toggle editing button, you just need to activate that, and then using add feature button, you need to you can just start editing here. So if you already have an existing shapefile, how to open that? You just need to go to layer, add vector layer. So then you just need to browse to the existing vector layer, and that particular layer will open up in QGIS. For example, here I have just taken all states India country shapefile. So I can go to properties and see its properties. Here you can I just opened a shapefile layer. So the properties window will appear when you click on the properties. Here you can inspect, you can do a styling for the layer, you can label it. So you can check the metadata of the data as well. So metadata includes the extent of the layer, the coordinate reference system, and maximum minimum values when we consider a raster. So any data about the data is called metadata. So this kind of information you can see in the properties table. So if you want to identify, here you can see the entire country. I have labeled it using the state name and styled it. So if I want to see more information about these polygons or states, so how do I do that? I just need to go to identify button and click on that particular polygon. So the window will appear showing all the attributes about the attributes or information about that particular polygon or a feature. So how to select multiple features from the polygon? So there is a select feature button. So it gives multiple options to select the features. First is select a single feature, or select feature by polygon, select freehand or radius. Using multiple options you can select polygons. For suppose if you want to select multiple polygons together, you can use the three other options, or if you want to select a single feature, you can select you can use the first option. Here I have selected 3 states of the country. So those 3 states will reflect in attribute table as well. So the selection will reflect in the attribute table as well. How to see this attribute table? You just have to go to the layers and right click on open attribute table. The attribute table will appear here in the map window. So next is data querying. So how to query from the attribute table? So this attribute table may contain multiple attributes, but I want to see only few customized queried data. So how do I do that? For example, here I have taken wards of a particular city along with its attribute information. So it has attributes such as ward name, ward number, total population, male population, female population, etc. So if I want to see all the wards having population more than 30,000, so how do I do that? I just need to go to open attribute table here. So which we seen in the earlier slide, and then just press on select by expression. So if you click on this particular button, select feature by expression, so the window will appear. So here just you need to click on fields and values, and just double click on total population, and then just say greater than 30,000. So all the polygons which is having the population greater than 30,000 will highlight for you. So similarly it will highlight in the attribute table as well. Then you can save these things as separate layer. So how to install plugins? So this we have seen earlier. You just need to go to plugins. For this to install plugins, you need to have internet connection. So if in case you are having the proxy, you just need to set the proxy just by going to settings and options. So just click on manage plugins. A plugins window will appear. So here, for example, if I want OpenStreetMap plugin, I just need to search OpenStreetMap here. So the OpenStreetMap plugin will appear. You just need to click on install plugin. The particular plugin will get downloaded to your system and it will get installed in QGIS. So one more important feature of the QGIS is a georeferencing tool. Georeferencing usually refers to the method by which locations in the raster and vector are related to the actual ground surface or earth surface. So this can be performed using a raster function in QGIS. You just need to go to raster and click on georeferencer. A georeferencer window will appear. Here, using the at least minimum core 4 coordinates, you just need to input the input 4 coordinates to the topo sheet if you are using topo sheet, or if you are using any images, satellite images, you need to import ground control points and then perform georeferencing operation here to fix it to the ground surface. You can fix any image or a satellite image to the ground surface using georeferencing tool in the QGIS. So one more main functionality is the raster calculator. If you want to perform any kind of analysis, such as if you want to perform indices, if you want to perform mathematical operations on rasters, you can go to rasters and raster calculator. So this particular window will appear here. Using mathematical functions, you can perform any of the mathematical functions on raster bands. So each and every band will appear. So if you are using RGB band, RGB and NIR band, you can perform an NDVI or any indices. You can find it using raster calculator functionality. So this particular page shows important essential plugins in QGIS. There is one plugin is I mentioned is OpenStreetMap plugin. So if you install OpenStreetMap plugin, you can perform 2 operations. One is you can get OpenStreetMap as a base layer in QGIS, and you can get an option to download OpenStreetMap data from its repository, so directly to QGIS for your study area. So these 2 functionalities, the main functionalities OpenStreetMap plugin provides. And if you want Google Satellite or Google Satellite imagery as a base layer, you just need to install QGIS map service, quick map service plugin. And to import Excel or .csv files to the QGIS file, you need to install a delimited text layer plugin, and georeferencer plugin we have seen. And using terrain analysis, you can perform slope analysis, hill shade, aspect, etc. Using elevation data. If you have digital elevation models, you can perform terrain analysis in QGIS. And one more functionality is zonal statistics. Basically, zonal statistics is performed using raster and vector layers. So if you want to perform analysis from the for a raster for a particular area using a polygon or a vector feature, so it gives maximum, minimum, standard deviation, mean, these factors for that particular zone. So next is how to style and label in QGIS. So this one we have seen earlier. So the entire all states of the country have styled it using different colors, and the labels of the state names are showcased here. So this one you can do just by right clicking on the layer, and if you go to properties, these stylings can be done. So finally, after styling and labeling, you need to compose the maps. For that, finally it can be used or printed somewhere, or it can be used in any of your reports. To do that, you just need to go to the projects and click on new print composer. A compose manager will appear. So you just need to create one compose manager, give its name, and then press add. A composer will appear. So here you can add a map elements such as title, north arrows, or scale bar, or you can add legend as well, and grids of that particular area you can also add, and you can have a complete customizations of the maps in the map composer. And finally, export the map into an image format or PDF format of fixed width and height. So you can mention the DPI of the image as well. And the Google satellite map, which I mentioned earlier as a base map, here I have added. You just need to go to web quick map service and press on search QMS service. Here just need to search Google Satellite as a base layer. So if you already have a layer which is appearing on the screen, the Google Maps will come behind that. So if you change the properties or appearance, so you can go to the any zoom level and see like you do it in Google Earth. So in a nutshell, so we have seen how to install QGIS as an open source software. So what kind of platform it supports, and the history of QGIS from when it is started and where it lies in terms of GIS timeline, and how to install QGIS software, from where to download it, and we have seen some of the interfaces of QGIS about various functionalities, and how to create new layers in QGIS, new shapefile layers, how to bring in existing shapefile layers, how to label it, how to style it, and how to identify features in QGIS or any polygon or any features, and how to inspect the data in attribute table and query the data, and installing new plugins. So, and we have seen some important plugins as well, like OpenStreetMap, layers, georeference or zonal statistics, or any spatial plugins. And finally we have seen map composing, so how to compose a map after we created these things. So till now we have seen the various functionalities of QGIS software in terms of usage. So in the practical session we are going to look at the functionalities in detail. Thank you.